we gotta welcome our guests in. You know what I'm saying?
Family bloodline, the family bloodline, the family bloodline, the family bloodline.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Family Bloodline Podcast.
Hey
I'm your girl
everybody.
Wanda,
Hello. I'm your girl Che.
and we got two new faces joining us tonight. Who do we have?
Hi
Mm-mm.
everybody, I'm Tiara Phillips. These are my cousins and my aunt. I am a special education teacher.
Awesome. And who's
Okay.
our other guest?
I am Jatauan or Jay. These are
Hey
my
Jay.
beautiful cousins. My brother is usually here. James is my little brother.
He might be joining us
Um,
later.
I am a licensed mental health therapist, and of course, I am a Libra, as I'm sure you guessed.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we are kicking off our mental health and wellness this January. We're going to talk about we're going to hit on a lot of different subjects. So let's just get into it.
Yeah. So just before we get started, you guys, just to get through the basics, let people know a little bit more about the two of you. Tiara, how did you get started in your profession?
I have been wanting to work with children honestly all my life. My first job was at the Magic House, which is in St. Louis. After that, I became
I
a
love the
nanny.
Magic House.
I became a nanny, and then after that, I went into education. And my mom actually pushed me into special education. I didn't
Okay.
think I would love it, but turns out I do. So that's where I'll
Oh,
be.
Okay.
great. And how about you, Miss Jadawan?
Mm. Well,
How'd
let
you
me.
get started in your profession?
Uh, Probably goes off the whole wounded healer cliche. I had
Mm.
quite a colorful childhood that was not stable, a lot of moving around and all the et ceteras.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I always wanted to be a psychologist. I always said I was going to be a psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I'm a one step down from that right now because I had, life changes. But yeah, so that's it.
How long have you been in your profession, Tiara and Jadawan? Tiara.
Technically, being a certified teacher, I've only been certified for a year as of February.
Okay.
But I've been working with children since I was 16. So kind of all my
Awesome.
life.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of all your life.
Okay. Hey, because a nanny, I'm sure, working with them
Hmm.
kids when you're young and some stuff that you got to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yeah,
How
Hmm.
about
I
you?
nannied a little bit for a while, and I loved it
I
when
love
I was
it.
in Texas. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You can make some
But
good money doing that too.
Oh yeah,
you
you can drive
could,
nice
yeah,
cars too.
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
you get a lot of perks with
Hmm.
nannying. There are perks.
And
And
how
Key,
how
how long have you been in your profession?
Uh, I started a program in 2009 where I did my first internship. And I
Hmm.
moved to Florida and had to start over. But really, actually, I did. And in the Navy, I did sexual assault victim advocate, and I was a drug and alcohol like assistant.
Oh,
But
wow.
that's not, as far as official licensing though. I've been officially licensed right under three, but I've been doing it um as far as like a master's or graduate and above probably since 2010. Yeah,
Okay,
2011.
oh,
wow. Okay.
that's a
But
long time. Was that about what, 11 years?
Yeah.
yeah, but it don't all count. You know what I'm saying? I think it sounds longer.
Oh, it
I ain't
counts.
no Sigmund Freud now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Well, yeah,
No, it all
nah.
All
counts. It
counts.
all
I
Okay.
counts.
was,
You gonna
I
give
was
me
It
in
my
all
11
definitely,
years.
nah,
like it
nah.
all
You know what I'm saying?
definitely
No,
counts.
I was not licensed at the time, and then not even that. I just, I was still in school. Some of the time, some of it was internship. So I did a program, then I started over when I moved to another state, and then took a hiatus. So
Mm-hmm.
no, so there was breaks in between that, and I ain't gonna even front like that. Nah, years,
That's funny.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
you
all
guys,
righty.
those are just a couple of basic questions we wanted to get out of the way, just so you guys can get to know who these two wonderful family
I
people are,
know.
these wonderful women are. And we're just going to open up the conversation, talk about mental health and wellness and all kind of different aspects.
Mhm.
Let's just see where the conversation goes.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So, like right now, with everything that's going on, I know a lot of people are dealing with, like, when in our community are dealing with a lot, right? So, like with like Black Lives Matter, all that stuff,
Mm, so much
the
going
killings
on.
of our people, everything. So, I'm really like worried about like depression and PTSD, dealing with that stuff. What do you ladies have to say about it?
For me personally, it has affected me as a teacher. It's hard for me to go in to my classroom to my predominantly Black and brown students with a smile on my face when a Black man was just murdered on social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to stay politically correct while voicing my opinion to my students when they're upset visibly. Like I had some students cry.
I bet.
So they knew about what was going on.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And people think a lot of times, oh, kids don't know, kids don't care. Kids
Yeah.
know, kids care, and
I was just gonna talk about an article I was reading that came out with under Good Morning America, and that's exactly what they were talking about. How kids can experience the same type of mental health issues and emotional issues that adults can.
Oh yeah,
Because I feel like that's a question that always comes up.
right.
Like, are the kids being as affected as the adults are? Like,
So you got a group of students this school year who had the first part of the end of their last school year virtual, totally new. That's never been done.
Okay.
The beginning of this school year completely virtual. And now this school year where you're pulling them into buildings for testing and like it's so much going on around them. Everything is affecting them.
Yeah.
Even beyond BLM and what's going on with the Black community. Everything around them is affecting them right now.
I bet. What about you, Ms. Jatauan? What's your opinion about everything that's going on and how it's affecting mental health in our community and beyond?
Well, the benefit or the blessing that to me, in my personal opinion, that has come of all this tragedy is that I am experiencing more Black people as clients, like an upsurge in Black clientele. Yeah, in particularly women. It would be wonderful to see more men, but particularly women. But yeah, I'm seeing an increase in Black clients.
Wow. You don't think
So
about it that way.
Yeah, like with the pandemic and everything that we've dealt with in 2020 going into 2021. How do you think though, Tiara, that would affect like the student life?
Some of my students at the beginning of this school year didn't have a place to live. It's hard for you to come to school and focus on school, even if it is virtually, if you don't have nowhere to lay your head. Your mom lost her job. You know what I'm saying? It's so many outside factors that go into it. And when you're trying to get students to just even come to school and function, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, because you can't function hungry. I know that for sure.
You can't function hungry, homeless, none of that.
Okay.
You just can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor kids, because it's enough bullying and stuff going on in prominent schools, and if a kid can't really, they don't have a place to stay, might come to school and ain't been able to take a shower or something, and then that's more bullying and that's more mental stress, and it's like a trickle effect up and down and around, all the way around. So
yes.
And Jetta, when you spoke on how like your clientele is mostly women. How do you think we could get men more involved in their mental health?
Oh, I didn't know. Not most of them aren't women, actually. But I'm seeing it
Okay.
in black clients, and particularly black women that are coming to therapy. But before we answer, I want to go back to something Tierra was saying about,
Okay.
the milestones that children, in particular children of color, because of disproportionate impoverished environments, etc., but the milestones they experience before they can even come to school. And I think she was saying how basically the point you all were saying, the sentiment was, how can you focus on school when you have all these external factors, these negative factors, which
Yeah.
impacts us as a race, period, which is why I speak out against IQ testing, which I've taken classes for, but they're biased because if we, but all that points to something called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And what it says is all your social needs, the whole, your needs need to be shelter, food, etc. All these needs need to be met before you can even start to self-actualize, right?
Oh yeah.
And self-actualize, receive a certain amount of education, be able to absorb it, etc. So given that, if you implement that theory into what Tierra said as far in terms of education and what children of color are disproportionately experiencing, what is that saying? I think we see it. We're seeing it as children go into adulthood, etc. And our graduation rates are increasing, but look at what's happening. Look at St. Louis.
Yeah.
I'm saying, look, how can they focus on school? Well, first of all, when the books are 10 years old, 15 years old, but we ain't got no damn food. And you eating cornflakes with water for breakfast, or you hungry and you hoping the only way you're going to eat breakfast is when you go to school, or you being beat up or beaten and watch your mama doing illegal things, or parents
Right.
with
Domestic
money.
violence in
And
the
then you're supposed
house.
to go to school and thrive.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm saying, Ned Flanders came from this, I'm saying, even if his household is not two parent, it is very stable and quiet, and they got a warm meal and they might smoke pot, I'm saying, but they come in from a place of stability and where they are able to receive and absorb education.
Right.
I think the disparities are great, and I wish, it is very disheartening to
It
me.
is.
Yeah. Exclamation
It
point,
is.
damn it.
Because I mean, shoot, I could talk for myself. When I was growing up in high school,
Dirty.
I could literally see, like, look at my transcripts from high school, and I could tell when I was having a bad time at home and when I wasn't.
Yeah.
Because my grades would drop down from A's and B's to C's or a B. You know what I mean? Like, your grades can reflect what's going on in your household sometimes,
I mean, even me being from a single parent household, my mom had to go to work and go to school. It wasn't no option.
Right.
So I didn't have anybody at home with me to help with homework. I didn't have nobody at home with me to help with projects because that was my reality.
Right.
Ultimately, it made me a stronger person.
But
However, like Jatauan was saying, it's disproportionate. Like it's just hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And everybody doesn't become stronger in those situations.
Right.
You're blessed if you gain strength from things like that. So
just before we get back started, Pooh, we were talking about like born with mental health issues versus developing them later. Like, are your kids in your class, were some of them born with mental health issues, or this stuff developed?
If my students, some of them on paper are born with it, but do I feel like they have it? Not necessarily.
Wow.
But there are some students who develop it later on in life. I think it just depends. It depends on the student. Like, for example, students with autism, they have a hard time socially interacting with their peers. So they tend to be a little more depressed at moments. I had a student last year who I found out was cutting herself. And that was very disheartening. That was my first year of teaching.
Oh, goodness.
So it was heavy. It was heavy.
Not bad.
I didn't know what to do with that information.
Yeah. But, so I was thinking, like, as being a new teacher, like dealing with stuff that, like more seasoned teachers, have
Right.
seen for a while is, and you dealing with your first year had to be
Yes.
crazy, right?
Yes. It was crazy. It just make you really sit back and think, like, wow, like
Yeah.
it's more than just, because everybody thinks all the time, kids don't got no responsibilities. All they got to do is go to school.
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
no, it's deeper than that.
Well, we
It's
were
deeper than
taught,
that.
correct.
It's deeper than that, especially in the
Yeah.
Black community. What you got to do? I go to work, I pay the bills, I do this, I do that. Okay, well, they dealing with a lot as well.
Right.
So, do you think that's based off when you speak based off one of the question? Do you think it's more of behaviors you see, or is it just like would you think they're like what she was getting at? Is it what they were born with, or do you just be behaviors that you see that be like, this particular person may have this, or he all right, he just playing around. You know what I'm saying? How do you determine that?
I think some students are born with it. Some students develop it later in life because of whatever may have happened.
Trauma or
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a number of things that could have happened.
Mhm.
For the students that are born with it and do have it from birth, they tend to actually cope with it a lot better than students who develop it later in life. Because it's like me with my hand. If I'm born with it, I know how to move around it. I know how to navigate it. Like, we've been through this since I was born. I got it.
Right.
Versus a 6th grade student who is struggling socially because she was diagnosed with autism 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Definitely.
So it just depends.
Mhm. How about you, Jatauan? Because I think in your profession you work with older adults, right?
No. Well,
No,
no.
not
Mm-mm.
necessarily.
Nope. I contract to a teen site. I contract to a couple site. Adult. So no, all I don't deal with kids. I don't want to say deal. I don't work with children. That tells you a lot with the word I just used. Definitely not 5 and under. Yeah, that was a Freudian slip, as they say. 5 and under. I like 13 and above. I think that in some ages, I think it's a lot of it is at certain ages can be almost like it's best left to behaviorists, behavior analysts, because there's so much that they're only going to process on certain levels, because certain parts of your brain are not even fully developed until you're 22. And there's like an interesting word called plasticity that talks about brain development, etc. But until you're 22. So but with that said, at like 7 and 8, and you're not going to sit and process things in a cognitive level. I can't make a connection between thoughts, feelings, and behavior, or implement narrative therapy. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's why you have sand tray therapy, right? And that's why they use puppets and stuff. Children speak a different language, and you know, and so yeah. So I do deal with all of, but I 13 is my cutoff, preferably. I usually refer out if people try to get little kids.
Yeah.
I know with younger students also with autism, we use a lot of play and behavior therapy and pretend. Oh, this doll hit him. How do you think that made him feel? Oh, okay. How does it make you feel when someone hits you?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's mirroring, because autism is a social relatedness disorder. It is a social relatedness, and people don't understand that. And like you said, a lot of the frustration sometimes, you know, and it's a spectrum disorder. And it's actually called ASD now, autistic spectrum disorder, autism spectrum disorder. It's not, they don't have Asperger's syndrome anymore or a different form at all. They just label the whole thing a spectrum disorder and do it tongue-tied, the new DSM-5. And so, yeah, like Sierra was saying, they teach them social relatedness. And that young lady was probably cutting, because cutting is a sign. A lot of times people see cutters, because I get a lot of teenagers that cut, of course. You know what I'm saying? I used to only work with teenagers. I did that for like 3 years, only adolescents. But people and they think, oh my gosh, my kid gonna kill themselves. Lord help me.
Right.
And you know, the parents like, somebody do something, you know. And I think that it is for them, it's validating when you sit in front of somebody and say, I get it. It's not that you want to kill yourself. You were experiencing a lot of distress, pain, trauma, etc. all these are
Mhm.
negative emotions that they didn't know how to express.
Yes.
And so what they're
Mm.
cutting is it's like a if you think about it symbolically, it is them letting pain that is inside out. And these are kids who usually have poor tools for communication. Children with autism who are high
Mm.
functioning, frustration. That happens a lot with children with autism
Ooh.
because they don't know
Yeah.
how to express. If their parents didn't start developing that at an early age, like taking them to Tierra, they don't know how to express that. So by the time they're a teenager, a lot of times it goes undiagnosed if they're high functioning.
Yes.
They're so frustrated because they don't understand why they cannot relate socially to people, or why they feel uncomfortable with eye contact or in certain social situations. And that's when you see this. Yeah.
Mm.
And that's
Wow.
I don't
why
like eye contact too much.
LaWanda,
a
we've been
lot,
trying to talk, no. Well, cousin, we're gonna talk about that offline.
and a lot of girls with autism, they get diagnosed later because a lot of them are high functioning,
Mm-hmm.
and mental health starts soon after they're diagnosed. Usually, boys, you can tell a little early on. You know, like, oh,
That's
maybe
interesting.
he might
Yeah.
need to be tested. But girls,
Mhm.
because they can sit in class and be perfectly fine and follow
Mhm.
along and keep up.
Oh,
Boys is
really?
just different. It just looks different. It looks
That's
totally different.
interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't
Women,
know that.
females are
Yeah.
more verbal, period, as a gender. Yeah, that's
I
right. And so even so their poor social skills will look different, like Tierra was saying, than a male's poor social skills.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like if she's quiet, it's possible. Quiet and like kind of standoffish.
and that's her. She had perfect straight A's, perfect
Mm-hmm.
student. Her
They always good at school.
organization,
Mm-hmm.
she organizing out the window. No organization skills and social skills she lacked. She had friends, but she had those same friends every single school year.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that go back to my question I was asking earlier. So you can really tell the behaviors of different types of mental illness, I should say, like
Yeah.
the depression, the autism, is different. The signs are pretty much there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you something. Yeah, as a matter, like Tierra was saying with theirs, and when I said it, but basically this is a DSM, and so basically it's what we use to diagnose people.
Yeah.
And it gives you the nuanced differences between each mental illness, and there's something called a
Mhm.
differential diagnosis between on each diagnosis page, and it tells you it is the difference between bipolar disorder versus major depressive disorder
Yeah.
versus
And I bet it's a lot of subtle
persistent
things.
depressive disorder. Yeah, you got to know this in order to pass for licensed mental health therapist. You got to
Yeah.
know this. Yeah, that's our test. We got to know this.
Mm.
That's a big
So
old
yeah,
book.
yeah.
Right.
But yeah, each mental illness looks different in its duration, time. Yeah,
Mhm.
the
Right.
duration of things.
Like you're
Relational
saying,
issues,
were you born like
occupational,
this, or
social,
did it just
educational.
start at when you were 10 or 12 or 13? Like,
Yeah. And then Tierra was also saying, she said sometimes, it may not happen to they're older when they're, going through certain stress and everything. That's called the diathesis stress model, what Tierra what she was attesting to. And basically it says that, say one parent had schizophrenia, and
Mhm.
you went on along in life and you never had any symptoms of schizophrenia, but you have to encounter the perfect storm for it to
Mhm.
surface, is what
So like
they
a
mhm.
trigger, basically.
yeah,
Yeah, some
yep,
type of trigger. Yeah.
the right stressors, which could
Okay.
be biological, environmental, sometimes a combination of all of those things. Weed is known to trigger schizophrenia, believe it or not.
Oh,
Yep.
dang.
Cannabis. Yes,
Huh.
if it's hiding in the background, you smoke weed, one hit, schizophrenia.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Wow.
Yep.
So
So
like so
everybody
I
gets
guess
so
the
quiet.
chemical so it's like a chemical type.
It's
Everybody
bipolar.
like,
Child, that scared
Bipolar.
child with the weed.
It,
No,
that,
Not
I,
me. It
I'm
scared
like,
me.
I'm just talking about in general. It's that's what is that what you base a mental illness on? There's like a chemical imbalance somewhere, or it's just
Nah.
how do you categorize it, or
A mental illness. is a set of things, right? You know what I'm saying? Diagnoses have different criteria,
Mhm.
you know, so it's not just one thing, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
when a student gets diagnosed with autism, I'm sorry, we look at them academically, we look at them socially,
Mhm.
and we also use data from parents. How are they acting at home? Because how a student act at home versus at school could be totally different.
Oh my God, don't I know it?
Yeah.
So
That's so
Don't I
interesting
know
too.
it?
we use
So,
all three of those criteria, plus we still have to run multiple on top of multiple tests.
mhm.
So a student could be, I got a student this year in first grade. He the highest student in first grade. He's in gifted and everything. He will not make eye contact with me to save his life.
Wow.
He just won't do it.
I mean, he
It's-
hears you.
Mm.
But remember, it's a social relatedness disorder, LaWanda. So yeah, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of high functioning folks running around here are on the spectrum. You know, it's a lot of high functioning engineers,
Yes.
computer
Man.
science geeks,
Look at
Yes.
our president.
aeronautics people that are
Not
high
our president.
functioning.
No, he just
Look at
That's
our
he's
that's
president.
narcissism. That's something totally different.
Yeah,
That's
that's totally
narcissism.
different.
mental,
Narcissism.
crazy.
no, that's
Man.
yeah. I don't know what that is.
And Dirt, to answer Dirt's question about mental illness, I'm trying to think it like the nine. It affects your mood. Let me see. A mental illness, like a definition I'm trying to see, affects mood, thinking, and behavior. Like Sierra was saying, that's when if something impacts those three realms, and it can be diagnosed as mental illness. If it's a mood related, like it's relational, occupational, social, and educational. Like Tierra was saying, in school they see certain things, and that's why they test at home. How are they at home, etc. Yeah.
I had an interesting question. What do you guys think about pharmaceuticals and the pills that they give the kids? You know, are you for that type of
Treatment.
pharmaceutical intervention, or would you rather kids just go to therapists and, you know?
I mean, for Tierra, for the
Yeah, I
kids.
mean, kids and adults just,
Yeah,
you know.
that was something we talked about because like coming up, I had to put one of my daughters on they classified her as ADHD. You know what I'm saying? And I love my baby, free spirit and everything, and it was more for her to focus more in the classroom. What they talked about, we were more for it. And then once we put her on it, she was like, once she came home, it was just like, you know, it wasn't the same child. She was just like stuck, you
Yeah.
know. I'd be
So
like, boom, hey, you want to go play? You know, and she like, no, I'm cool. Go ahead, Tierra.
That's
I'm sorry.
subdued.
so Dirt, you said you had to put her on them. Why did you feel
Uh,
like you had to?
like I say, I didn't. It was more for the focus in classroom because it was more for because she wasn't retaining what they was doing in the classroom. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, you know, just like I say, that's why I say I'm listening to medical professionals. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to that's my child. I know how my child is and everything. You know, instead of taking my route, listening to my gut, I listen to the medical professional. So that's why I was asked putting it out there.
So this is my opinion. For some students, it helps. For some students, it doesn't. For some students, they just need a new environment. Maybe their teacher just isn't teaching the way they need them to be taught.
Yeah.
Maybe their teacher is just not equipped to handle that student. I got some students that, no offense, when they're in their gen ed class with white teachers, their behavior issues. They come to me, I tell them, sit your butt down. Guess what they gonna do? Sit down. So I think it just depends. But I do have some students who I'm like, oh, he on medication. I can tell the difference. He's sitting down, he focused, he's okay. And then some students, I'm like, you don't need no medicine. You just need somebody who gonna get with you how you need to be got with.
Need some structure.
That's what I was
Exactly.
gonna get to because
Exactly.
like you said, her grades and everything skyrocketed. The focus was there in school, but by the time she got home, she was still in that state of like where my baby girl at, as opposed to you know what I'm saying? She's still
You know?
focused. Like,
And I tell parents all the time, you do not have to take our recommendation. If you feel like we diagnosed your child wrong, go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 doctors and get other medical opinions. You do not have to medicate your child if you don't want
I'll say that about my baby because she was.
I mean, but if you feel like she needs it, that's a different story.
I didn't, but you know, it was a struggle in the relationship. You know, the mother felt that, I didn't feel this, so that was you know, there was some other turmoil and other facts in the household, you know what I'm saying, that people have to deal with, you know what I'm saying, dealing with it. And it ain't just the child, it's also the parents having to deal with that too. So that's why I both.
And like I have a 4th grade student this year who was reading at the beginning of the year on maybe like a 1st grade level. He had been just pushed through school this whole time. We've been asking mom, take him to the doctor, see what's going on. He's now on medication and his grades are going up. His scores are going up. But I always check in with him. How are you feeling? Are you still liking your medicine? Are you sure? How does it make you feel? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? And I communicate that with his mom. Hey, today he felt this way. Maybe you should talk to the doctor about taking the dose down a little bit. Like changing medicine. Like I always communicate with my parents. Always.
That's good.
I think that's exceptional. Tiara, you're an exceptional educator.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't know if a lot of teachers do that.
Yeah. You have any thoughts on that, Jatauan?
Yeah. Let me see here. I have to have a different perspective, of course, because I am not Tiara is the educational expert.
Right.
Yes. Yes, speak on it, cousin. Speak on it.
That's right. I think that, so yeah, because when I was a therapist in school, I did grade school like one year and was like, y'all know how I feel about it. I got tired of it.
It ain't for everybody.
Yeah, no, it ain't for me. Yeah, it was, you know, and of course, it got a lot of ADHD. And like Tiara was saying, you know how she was like, you see the difference when she was like, sit your butt down. Structure is all you can do with structure. It's important that they have structure in the home and in the classroom. Yeah, and it looks, the interesting thing about ADHD is that a lot of times it looks like autism. Sometimes people think it's autism. Structure is the key for both of us. It's key or imperative to both diagnoses. That's just interesting.
Like thinking about our community though, like the structure, it can be off sometimes because you have working parents.
Yeah.
And then you have parents, you know, then there's like maybe younger siblings or older siblings that are like doing other things. So it like the structure is different.
Yes and no, because remember, so structure, I think a lack of structure in homes is ubiquitous, I think, across the board sometimes in American society. I don't think, you know, it could be race, like you said, a lot of Black families, you know, working, et cetera. But white folks, even when they do have parents in the home, or we won't even say white, if you want to even go to keep it in socioeconomic statuses. Right. People of higher socioeconomic statuses, a lot of times the mom, you know, you find that she lacks the motivation or the know-how, the wherewithal, parenting skills, etc., to implement structure with their children.
And then you have like nannies.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
You have nannies people, like me.
Yeah, you get nannies who can do this for them. So yeah, I think that structure, but it does, as far as your question, I think, you know, our people it as a whole have a distrust for the medical profession because this is not our remedy for healing. I think naturally, right? This is what was forced upon us when we came here. And I think that trickles down. And I think that different medical experiments that we were the you know, unwilling participants in reinforced that fear. Tuskegee experiment. There's what's the lady Henrietta? There's a woman who, you know, they still use her genes for gynecological studies. Yeah. Black woman. She's been dead a long time. But I remember in Louisiana, there's a lot of true stories about people who experimented on their slaves with medical experiments, et cetera. But so, I mean, we got it honest, right? You know what I'm saying? The fear that dirt, you know, as he was the distrust. But as Tiara was saying, I think medication is not necessarily.
That made me think about that episode of Lovecraft Country we watched when all them slaves and all them people he was
That was a true
experimenting
story,
on.
though. That was based off a true story. Oh, hold on, I got my
Yeah,
headphones.
which was
Yeah,
crazy. Like
so
he
it's
was sewing parts of Black people
Mhm.
together, basically Frankenstein style.
Yeah.
but it's but
Like
yeah,
that was
it's
like,
true.
and I didn't know that was a true story until I talked to
I did-
Jatauan about it,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but
So
so the distrust is real. But going back, it's
yeah.
ADHD is a neurological disorder, and it does affect your prefrontal lobe. So it's a real thing, and it affects impulsivity.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so the kids have to literally be taught how to slow down and not to react and respond instead of react. And so, yeah, it is a disorder that is a neurological disorder, Dirt. So it's real.
Yep.
And, if she was still zombified when she got home, sounds like she may have been on, I can't give medical advice, but
Right.
may have needed to
Correct.
change her.
Yeah, the dosage might have been off.
Yeah.
And that's why we definitely eliminated it after that. I'm like, no, I need my baby girl out. Like,
Maybe at home, though. Remember, but she still needs to be able to absorb information, too.
correct. And like I say, the
call.
focus is there. But then that's where it was at. It was just more. Okay, she free hearted and good spirited like me, cause she know the process that we went through. You know what I'm saying? We went through that to try to help her, but we found out that it wasn't beneficial for her. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? We like, no, we
Yeah.
just gonna accept her like she is, and then like you say, it just got more stern, but not too stern, because we still didn't understand what was going on. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
just gave her the platform, let her do her, and and I kept my social butterfly.
Right.
Yeah.
Aw.
And I want to tell y'all something interesting. That's cute, Dirt. So there is, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Dag nabbit. There is basically a school of thought that suggests that the reason why, if our children are if you see that diagnosis more prevalent amongst our children, is because we naturally have a rhythm inside us that other races don't. And it goes back to Africa in the way that we're more kinetic, etc. There was, and so it was oh gosh, it's been at least 10 years, but they had it. I remember there was a whole report about it, and they would have drum play involved in education and allow them in more movement. And they said that the reason why our children look different at this age in terms of behavior is because genetically we are different. We require more movement because we have a natural endemic rhythm, which is
Okay.
like Yana Van Zant probably kind of
Right. I
holistic,
like
holistic thinking. But yeah, there's a theory about that.
It makes sense to me because I
Definitely.
like sitting there in front of a teacher who's just telling you information, and you're just supposed to take all of this in, and you got all of your rhythm on the inside of you.
Yes.
And then what?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Really.
I'm gonna have to definitely start, putting this thought towards my children and the way that they're doing school and stuff. Because I get frustrated, they get frustrated,
Yeah.
and everybody in the house frustrated. So
Go to your separate areas. Figure it out tomorrow.
I'm like, look, you know what? I don't know what this new math is. That's not what like it's just frustrating. And they like, I don't know what this new math is either. And so everybody's like, so what you sit in school and do all day? Just sit there and stare at them? Pretty much.
Oh Lord. But yeah, like we were saying, kids learn differently, and you gotta customize learning sometimes, for real.
For sure.
Oh yeah. Because like right now I'm dealing with the twins, and their personality is like yin and yang totally. They're
Oh yeah, the twins
totally
and
different
things.
spectrums of the world. Yeah, Wanda and Che get to see them. Them guys,
TNT.
they're totally different, but they're still one.
I'm surprised they ain't popped up tonight.
It's beautiful to see that aspect of it. So
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
We're going to wrap this up, just giving some great references for people. I know, Tiara, you said you had a few references you want to read off, and But since we already have a family member, Jatauan,
Hello.
Yes.
let's start with you. Let's start with the family reference first.
Let's
Let the
get
people know how to get in touch with you, cousin.
Oh, yes. I am. Yes, I do online therapy. Thank you. Yes, yes. I am on a few panels or cash. JATAUANJ@gmail.com. Just hit me up and we can schedule a session.
Awesome. Go ahead, Tiara.
Okay, so my number one go-to that I give to everybody is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. You don't necessarily have to feel like that you are about to commit suicide to call this number. If you're experiencing any type of mental distress, call this number and they can help you. You can tell them, hey, I don't have insurance. Like Fat was saying about the different socioeconomic statuses. If you don't have insurance, you don't have money, they can find you programs that are either free or income based. So that number is 1-800-273-8255. And that's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number. The other reference that I would like to talk about is the National Alliance for Mental Health Illnesses. It's called NAMI for short. They also offer free counseling as well as free group sessions. Their phone number is 800-950-6264. So whether you're rich, poor, homeless, whatever the case may be, you can get yourself some help.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
for
Tiara.
all of our military affiliated
Oh yeah.
friends and family, you can always reach out to militaryonesource.com. Militaryonesource.com. They will get you screened in. You'll get some free sessions. They'll set you up in your area, and it'll be no cost to you.
Awesome.
If you're in Florida, thank you, James. Camaraderie Federation, free therapy, and go to your local VA. 211 and with United for several states, free mental health. They even have in some states like Florida, they will dispatch a professional to you 24 hours a day for mental health emergencies.
Right. Great.
And
good references.
And
we're
also
gonna have all of that.
suicide.
There are tons of apps too that you can download to your phone. Some of them charge you weekly, some of them charge you monthly. So if you don't have transportation, you can also contact a counselor or therapist virtually. So you don't necessarily have to get up and travel or go anywhere.
Right.
Now the apps aren't free, but there are several. Like one is Regain. That's the one I use personally. And it's amazing. So.
Oh, I'm a contract on Regain.
Really?
Yep.
And we're going to have all this information available for you guys who are watching. We're going to put it in the description of the video. Also, should have a tag on the end of the video as well. So, well, you know what, guys? I had a great time talking to you guys today.
Thank you, guys.
So much fun. Thank you, Tiara. Thank you, Jatauan, for coming on to the Family Bloodline podcast, talking to us about mental health and wellness. Hopefully we can get back together and do this again.
I know we're gonna get the ladies
Okay.
back. We're gonna have us a ladies chat to discuss some of the stuff that we were talking about earlier.
Okay. Everybody
so
but Fat. Can we
get them back
do
on for that?
Everybody but Fat. Can we do a round of applause? This is our round of applause. There, round of applause. You gotta go around.
So thanks, y'all.
Thank you for having us.
I hope everybody have a good night. A good
Absolutely.
Day,
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you
Love
too.
y'all.
Everybody say bye.
Love y'all.
Love y'all. Good night.
Good night. Somebody come take my dog out. It's late. Bye, y'all.